So this is day one of the 24-hour Lemons card build. It's a 87 BMW 325i, found on Craigslist for $350. The transmission was supposed to be bad, but when I talked to the guys at the transmission shop where I picked it up from, because the customer didn't want to pay to have it fixed, they said it was just the pickle fork, tuning fork, clutch activating pivot ball, which I guess, looking on the internet, that is common for these to wear, so we're going to check that out in a minute. But this is just the car. So it is complete. The trunk was full. South Carolina sun has been horrible to the clear coat. It is a sunroof car, full leather, and a 5-speed. And the only real damage is someone got closer than they needed to on the front bumper, but being it's a race car, that's easy to pull out, and it'll make it damage there again. So this is December 1st, 2017, and just to get everything started. So this is what I found in the trunk. Probably bought it about 3-4 weeks ago, and finally getting it in the shop now. So we're going to check it out. I'm sure it's the original transmission. We'll check the numbers because we do plan on possibly building it so that you can run 24 hours of Lemons, and then we can just go and do a couple NASA E30 events just for the fun of it. But here's the clutch. Not bad. Pressure plate, probably just replace that stuff as normal wear items. Check the flywheel out once we get it up in the air in a couple minutes. And the box full parts. Drive shaft is in the car, it just happens to be in the passenger compartment. So what do you do if you do not have a frame stand? Which 99.9% of us don't unless you work in the industry. So I'm going to try to use an LS motor that will go into another vehicle, matter of fact the vehicle on the other side, the little Pontiac Astra, to give me a little bit of anchorage to see if I can pull this front structure out around the headlight. So this is what a 1987 325i rear core support headlight fender, that should look like. That's driver's side. This is what it's not supposed to look like. That's what we're going to try to make match up. So working on the BMW, I got a little bit pulled using the engine as a weight source, but just not enough. I was actually pulling that whole engine and stand across the floor. So what I think I'm going to do is the upper radiator core support, this section here, is all spot welded on. So what I think I'm going to do is actually cut it here, remove the spot welds around the perimeter, and that'll allow me to bend this back part, bend this on the bench, and bend these all separate so I'm not trying to fight two pieces of material that are bent in different directions. Well, here we are, take two. Had some problems with something that wasn't cut through, and that's the hole for the headlight bucket. So if we use that again, we'll fix it, but otherwise I know I got one spot over here does not want to come loose. Hopefully maybe we can bend it into submission. There we are. Oh, there was another weld there. So concept is to straighten this out. Might have to separate this panel from the header panel. We'll look at it and see if it doesn't want to come out nice, but bring you back when we made some progress. So this is where I'm at now with the front sheet metal. I cut the radiator core support all apart and drilled some 1/8 inch holes before I cut it apart, so I knew, basically where the two pieces align together, and then separated all the welds. So the Klecos hold it together now, and I had to cut it here because it was so badly bent right in this area here, top and bottom. And then attempted to fold the front fender back in, so it was actually folded over itself in like 3 spots. So it's pretty close. Took the bumper off. This piece was tucked underneath itself, so this gives me an alignment, so I know I've got to bend this fender out and then in to bring it in, and that's where the attachment point is. So now we'll take a look at the hood. So this is the shape of the slightly deformed, there's a little dent right here I'm not going to worry about, E30 hood, and then how we bought it. This is the damaged side, so it has to come up quite a bit. I hope it shows, I hope it shows up on camera, but that should be a continuous line, and that should be a continuous line, so we'll figure out how to do that. So we got the front end straightened back out. Everything's kind of welded back together. It's good enough for a race car. Seems to fit fairly well. Tackled the hood a little bit. Since doing all this, I've made a few other changes. So I've taken the front end apart in order to get to some things and straighten some stuff out and see how bad things were bent. So there was no bend at all in the passenger side frame rail. So we're good there. It hit just above that, right in the lower sheet metal area, right below the headlights. I've taken off the AC system, so removed the condenser, removed the fan, but I think we're going to put that back in just for more cooling in the South Carolina and Atlanta if we ever run in this area. And I've got the power steering system apart because the return hoses were leaking severely. So I've ordered some new ones of those and started cleaning some stuff up. Ordered some new belts, got the flywheel back on, clutch and pressure plate mounted. Now just waited for some transmission mounts and a few little things, and we can tighten everything back up. So today is December 18th. Finally got all the important pieces together. So transmission's in, flywheel, clutch plate, roll oil bearing, pin, drive shaft, all that good stuff is in. Got a new power steering pump reservoir, a new line, so those aren't leaking, just return lines. And just bombed it up and down the street a little bit, first, second gear, and everything works. There's just like a mile of travel for the accelerator pedal before it actually picks up, so I'll have to fix that before we go on the street, and you can hear the valves. So got a new valve cover gasket anyway, so while I'm in there tomorrow morning I'll adjust the valves, but otherwise bolt things together and start learning more about it. I also changed the spark plugs and put new oil and filter in it. So I started it earlier today, found out it worked, and then decided to invest in the oil and oil filters. So that all seems to work. Put the factory seat back in it, and it's ready to get street drive. It's got to get license and insurance and title change tomorrow. More later. So today it's the end of the day for December 17th, and it looks like a BMW 3 Series again, E30. So got the trim back on the front, the bumper back on. Didn't worry about the air dammer surround. I just want to get it running so I can drive it around, put some gas in it, and look for some more issues. While I was taking it off the stands, I did find that the passenger side lower ball joint has quarter inch of play in it. So I've ordered a kit for that, which is lower control arms, tie rod ends, boots for the rack, and an outer tie rod end. So if one gone, the other one's probably not too far away from being gone. So we're in the process right now. I can't find my feeler gauges, so I'm going to go get a new set, but Got the valve cover off because I need a new gasket anyway, and when I started it up you can kind of hear the um, valves rattling, lifters rattling, rockers rattling, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to go through and run the valves. Since we're this far into it, might as well just do that. It's pretty simple to do. Took spark plugs back out and checked those. They look okay. So we're just going to keep going. So before I put the seat back in, I went ahead and vacuumed out the passenger driver's side, and it has got really nice carpeting in it. So this still is a really decent car. So we'll probably put that on eBay, Craigslist, or there's an E30 shop around here. I'll see if they're interested in trading some parts for it.